Alright, so hi, it's me, Yui, and today, it's another video, and in this video, um, I will create a distributed rate limiter. Um, so it's a how can I say it? So we will create a filter that it's a rate limiter for our applications using Spring Boot. So it's basically um, when the client is setting too much requests in a period of time, so they will get declined. This is like um, you guys, we can like kind of refer to different contexts and um, there are different situations like if you are using a guest account or you have registered for the pros plan, then you will get like more requests. Let's say it's like the same to token. Like you know, using AI, we have a limited token, so it's the same thing when you are sending requests um, to a server. If a user is sending too much request to a server, then we'll it's we're like using imagine like one user using like 90% resources of the servers. It's not good, right? So yeah, that's why we need a rate limiter. And so I will be using Redis. Redis, is super fast in terms of storing in memory, and because it's storing in memory inside the RAM, so it's extremely fast and it's storing key value only, which is what we need. So super fast to um, use in our project, and it's really efficient. And then I will be using Docker to containerize our project and we will connect the Spring Boot application to the Redis and run it simultaneously within the container. So let's head to begin. So we'll be install our Spring Boot applications. Um, so we kind of want this. We want our dev tool because we want our backend to refresh every single time we add anything. And we want Spring websites, and we want Redis. So yeah, this is just it. This is what we want, and we also want Spring security. This is really essential because later on we'll applying a security feature, and we will do some configurations for our endpoint. So now I'll be using Java 17. We will be using Maven, and let's name this into uh, distributed rate, just like that. Distributed rate limiter. Right. So let's generate. Okay, cool. Now we will be moving that from what's it called? Demo. We have many demos. Sorry. So we'll be moving it into our CS project. Oh, I forgot we had to create a project. So let's create the project and distribute it rate limiter, and let's go in that directory, and then we will move that our demo zip into oh, into our directory. Okay. Um, and okay, now we can see that we have it. Let's unzip that. Okay, cool. Okay, let's do cd demo. Boom. Now we have our applications, right? So let's try to start our application. Let's do VNW Spring Boot. No, I don't remember syntax. Let's say Spring Boot. So let's see if we are opening our browser in the localhost 8080, we will be direct to a login page. In this case, go um, and then okay, let's do that. Okay, if we go to our localhost 8080, so yeah, we'll be direct to our login, and we have our password. So Spring Security generates us the password and store it in the memory. This is just the bcrypt password. If you guys know, you guys know. So let's try to create an endpoint. It's in here. All right. So here is our applications, and what is that? This is our applications main entry, and so you know, Spring Boot will look for all of the subclass and subfile within our demo, our package. So we will create something called a controller, which basically is the orchestration of to orchestrate our endpoint. So here I will create something called health controller, right? Dot Java, right? So we wanna link our package to here. Now we want to do, let's do public class, right? Health controller, just like that, and we're gonna public. Here we want to register. We want to let Spring know that this is a REST controller endpoint, and here public class health, right? And then we return okay for now. It's a return string. So string, this is, we want to register, we want to route our endpoint into help. Okay, I don't know if this is like 100% correct. So we want to try, okay? If we try to go to our health endpoint, we can't because as mentioned, we have our Spring Security and it's automatically protect all the endpoint, right? So we can try by going using this password um, here that our application providers. Let's try to copy it. Okay. If we sign in, now we can see um, the response is okay, which is great. But as I mentioned, we are creating a distributed rate limit, so we are really care about like just applying the future, the having like the limits, right? So we don't really wanna care much about the security or like the authentication and stuff. So that's why now we will create a service like no we would create a security configurations that we would disable the authorizations required for our health endpoint. But before doing that, um, I just wanna kind of separate this health into a status method that's stored into the service, so it's make that better to organize our codes and um, we can share the instance in between our applications. And yeah, I just wanna it's good to use injections in Java Spring Boot. So yeah, let's create a service. So service is the logic of our business, of the process like data um, processions and stuff gonna be like inside our service, and our controller will mostly the endpoint will use those services. Okay, so I will create this health service, right? So now we want to register the package. So let's register.com RTI service just like that, and we will create a public class course. Java, everything in Java it's a class, so I know. So here, and then we will want to create an public private public that return a string, right? And as I mentioned, this is a status method that we return okay instead, right? And we want to register this as a service, just letting Java, just letting Spring to know, and Spring will um, put this into a container that's shared between instances in our applications. So now in our controller, we can then import, right? So we can import com.service and health service just like that. Uh, now we can now we will have to initialize our health service object. So in order to like call the method status, right? So that's why we use private private final health service, right? And then we will this, and then we have our initialize, which is, I don't know, initialize, oh no, constructor, yeah, my bad. So this constructor of our health controller that we will pass in our health service, right? um it's public health service. So this will be named health service, just like that. And then we will do this, that health service, right, equal to health service. And I forgot that we need health service here, right? Now here we want to return health service dot status. So let's save it and let's check if it's still working, right? Okay, so it's still working, which is good. So now we want to start to code our rate limit logic. So we want to create our rate limits service, and so the rate limits will be before our actual REST controller, like it will, so when a request from the client sent to our Spring Boot server, it will first hit our, it will hit the wall, like all of the filter, you know, if you've been using Fast API Django, we knows the term CORS, and it's like middleware, but like in Spring Boot we call it as filter. But before doing that, as I mentioned, we want to have our security configurations, so it makes it easier when we are doing stuff like we can focus more on our rate limiter instead of like have to playing around with the authorizations. So we're creating a folder named config and a file called security config in Java. So in here we want to say package.com. Here include our package, and then we will want to do call this as configurations. Configurations. Okay, enter, and then create a class called security config 8, and then public security. This is our security filter chain, as I mentioned, and the function will be called filter change. So the type of our HTTP we are receiving is HTTP security. This is an HTTP, right? So then that we also want to throw some exceptions in between if we encounter any error in between, right? So so now our HTTP right here, dot, right, and CSRF, we want to disable this because CSRF are mainly used for cookies, and our application, the request, is using header, which is tokens based, but we don't really like care about this, and that's why we need to disable that, because if we don't disable it, we will need like additional handling. It's really annoying when we need exception to like handling the thing that we don't need to. So let's just disable that, and we also wanna have our authorize HTTP request, right? So this art will be sent to this, and we might want to this make public our health endpoint. So within the request measure, is this that is our health endpoint. We want to permit everything. So permit all. Let's eat this. Wait. Oh shit. That pretty messed thing up. Dot authorize press matcher. Yeah, it's here. Our health endpoint dot permit all, and then for the other endpoint, we just keep it at authorized, right? Authenticated. Okay, cool. Now none of this, and we want our HTTP to have the default endpoint, the default behavior, just like that. And am I tripping? Do we don't really need that, right? And then we return our HTTP.build. Just like after you are like changing the setting, and then you have to save the setting, and we want to register this to being object, because um bean will like kind of initialize our setting once, and then it will share in between instances. And for now on, all of the endpoints being set, the health endpoint is being public. So I have any error here. I think that we might have some stupid syntax error here. So let's see. Public HTTPS. Okay, so this we want to like that, right? So it cannot be a child security filter. Filter. Do you have any error yet? We are having an error, I think. This could be an error, so let's run our project again. Let's run our server again. So let's see what error that we have. Okay, security future chain having problem. Um, oh yeah, we might have been missing that the import, so it should work now. So if we say go back, right, and we go to our health endpoint, so it's don't need it doesn't need any it doesn't need us to log in once again, right? This is cool. So now we will be um, creating the rate limits, right? So our rate limits before our rate limits feature, right? We will have a limit feature, and then we will have a limit service. Okay, so let's create our rates limits service Java. And now let's just set our rate limits into let hard code it into true, and let's see if we are hard code that into true, we are calling it into rate limits. And so service boolean allow request, and then to set it into true. So let's issue our package com.service public class rate limit service, and then public boolean allow request, right? Let's just return true. So if we are creating our filter folder, right, and now let's create our filter folder, and then we will check if a rate limit feature. We having a rate limit feature that we will inherit from this. I mean, no, we'll like initialize an object of this, and then we will override the existed filter chain. We return response. We have receiving request, and then response, and then we will check our clients. We identify requests using um, the address of the request, which is the address of the clients, which is the IP address, right? Okay, so let's create rate limits. This is future, right? .java, just like that. And let's say we say package, right? com.example. Oh, what the fuck is that? It's example demo service future. and then we want this to be a component. A component is like a service, but like it's more general. It's not about the logic of our business, because I don't know how to call this, because this is like a configurations, right? So we have public class. We are calling this at array limits um, future, and nope. And then we have our private final that we importing from our rate limit service. Rate limit service, just like that, and then public rates limit service future. We initialize it, right? By okay, we calling our rate limit service and pass it into this, just like that. Now we want to override our existing stuff, which is um the protected void do filter in protected voids internal, that nope, it's real exception, first our HTTP servlet, right? Servlet request, and we call it a request, right? And then the same thing, but like this side would be a response, like that, calls a response, and our future change, our future change, that we. So this means that our future will receiving a request respond, and it's can later on pass our the request into the next future. So and we will essentially throw some error if we ever need to. So say it's a red exception and IO exception. So, alright, just like that. And then clients, right? The client will be our request, but that we get the address, right? From our clients. So now the method errors this. Set any error, bro. Do future internal. I think we are good. We almost done. So let's say if not, if this is, if this is false, right? We just wanna rate error 429, and we just wanna write the error to our response. So let's write too much request, right? And we return, and if anything's then we just pass our future change that we will pass our request to the next future, right? So do we have any error? Let's see any error we do have. Considering defining being of type S in your configuration. So I think I did, bro. What you mean? Oh, is this a service? Okay. So if I open a terminal and say if I do call to our local host 8080/help, it would be okay, right? If we keep doing like that, but if you know, we going back to our rate limit service and I set this to false, which is we are hard coding, but you know, if I set it to false, then this would raising too many requests, right? And yeah, we might need to uh, refresh our server, I guess. Do we need to say, yeah, let's say if I set it to false and we have an error. Let's see. Method does not override or implement. Okay, let me see. Rate limit service is a service. I believe it's correct. But for this, we are having some error. Said that it's error, bro. Bro, so what's affections? Future chain, future chain. So important. Oh, wait, I forgot that our rate limits have to inherit from one's request per filter because we are applying the feature into every single request. So send it to once per request filter. Okay. Our local variables not used. Yes, we are passing our client in here, right? If not, this will be there. The method allow requests. in type rate limits is not applicable. This is accepting the key, I guess. So yeah, just run our server again. Let's see if it's works. Just do request. Okay, if I do curl to our localhost 80 slash oh, so it's returning too much request. So this is cool. Right? If I ever want to change um this into true, then if I do scroll again, it's return okay, right? So this means that we have a really simple rate limits already. But so what we want is that we are using redis to actually store, and we are giving an actual request, like a limits, let's say limits to 5 or 10, and our limits time, our time limits is like let's say 60 seconds. That in 60 seconds the clients can request maximum in the maximum of 5 requests, for example, like that. So yeah, so that's what we're gonna do. And so now we have our rate limits working. So we wanna use implement redis into our applications. And so let me see, we using redis, we are not gonna install redis manually by like install redis, we're gonna use docker. That's why we are using docker in this application. So um using docker make our redis, we don't need to install our redis in our operating systems. It's gonna just be in redis, and since it's been redis, it is pretty convenient if we want to containerize, and we don't need to do any further complex setup configurations, so um yeah, now we're gonna create our redis. So this is our redis is running yet. Still, so if we are doing, um check our docker, it's available, we want to do sudo docker ps. So you can see here there are currently no docker running, like there's no service containers running. If let's see, I can create a new Windows and do sudo lazy docker. So here right now there's no docker here, there's no container working. And okay, let's keep that working, bro. Okay, so if I do docker run /d double dash name brothers, wait, /p, and we want to register it with 6379 79. That's p is we are binding the host port and our redis into this 6379 is gonna run in the background. And yeah, redis. So let's do sudo docker dash d that dash name redis dash p 379 379 redis. Now we can run our docker by doing if is that I don't really remember, but docker dash host docker oh forgot how to run redis. It's something like docker and then I don't remember, to be honest. Docker slash IT or something like that. How can I run Docker? We want to run the Redis clients. Okay, whatever. Oh, exec. Yeah, my bad. So let's do Docker exec dash IT. IT is we are creating an interactive pseudo terminal. Rename our Redis yet. Let me see if we are doing Docker Redis. We have to create our Docker first, bro. So before doing that, we are creating a config for our application. So let's do string right dot data dot redis dot host. Our host is gonna be localhost for now, but it's gonna be Redis after we containerize our application into Docker. So our port for now 6379. Let's save it. So now, how can we? Name some Redis. Let's do sudo docker ps. ID. The name is Redis. So our Redis is running. If we are to, we can see our Redis being registered. Like, did we have the name for it? Compose up. Oh, I named it Redis, bro. Okay, I was so dumb to forget that. So if we do sudo docker exec slash it with redis, right? Redis dash client, then enter. So if we do ping, it's return pong. This means that we are currently in our Redis clients. If we are listing our key, it's an empty array. We can let's say if we creating anything, let's see that we set name it to UI just like that, right? If we do get name, so let's return UI, but now we don't care about it. So let's go to Vim. Now since we have successfully initialized our redis, right, in our Docker, then we'll keep going on our rate limit service. We kind of need to change it a little bit. So let's go here. This is no longer hat code, but with it'll be real implementations. So let's delete that, right? Um, so we don't really need this, right? We are name this to private final string redis template. um, redis template is like that, and so not a private static final integer. Let's say for now we're gonna hard code that, and we're gonna set this our request to maximum 5 requests, and the durations that we are resetting our key in the redis will be 60 seconds. So durations, our windows equal to durations dot of minutes, one minute, just 1 minute, which is 60 seconds. Now our rate limit service, we gonna initialize our string redis, right? um, this template, redis template. So here we'll do public boolean allow request. We're gonna pass in our key, which is the key gonna be the IP address of the clients. Have our redis key, right? So the key of the redis, we are storing redis with a key value pair, right? So the key we're gonna be, let's say, our rate limits, and then we'll plus our key, which is the key which is the IP address, right? And we want our counts to be redis template for a value increment. This is a atomic increment. So each time we're doing a request, it's gonna implement that increment the value into 1. So if it's hitting 5, then within 60 seconds we can't do any further requests, right? So we will increment that with our redis key, to be honest. Yeah, increment for 1, right? So 1. If we do if counts is it's not empty, right? And our count is equal to 1, then we wanna set that, right? So it's a redis template dot expire. So the redis key will be the window that we just initialize on here. Though where's it here? So it's gonna be maximum it'll be 60 seconds that it's doing another request. I mean, it's resetting the key, like completely delete the key from the redis, and then we can doing requests, another request. Now we return if not null, and count is still lower or equal to limit, so we can keep doing that, right? So let's save that. We're gonna do like, so let's try, we can do a curl local host 8080 slash out. Are we having an error? We are having error. Okay. Just try to run our server because we want to get specific error. Why is it working, bro? To me. Okay, we are having we error. The root cause is that the allow request is undefined for the type rate limit service. Okay, so it's having an error. Kind of right here. No, right here. Allow request boolean. No, it's rate limit service, bro. Public class rate limit service. Private final string redis template. Redis template. Okay. Rate limit service. I don't know what error are we encountering. The method is undefined. Oh, okay, so we kind of need to change something here in our future, right? Okay, so it's undefined for a type. It's undefined for rate limit service. It's what? Oh, I'm missing S. Okay, this is dumb. This is so dumb, bro. To be honest, let's run server again. So now we'll be able to do some. Let's do curl localhost 8080 slash. Let's do that. If we are doing it immediately like here, then it's be too much request. See, now we can't do it no more until another 50 seconds. And if I can do like go to our redis Oh, sudo, sudo script, right? Sudo that redis in redis clients. If I do keys, we can see that we have a keys here, but like if we wait for like enough 1 minute, it's gonna like disappear. So let's keep doing that. Just wait for a little bit. Sorry, I was checking message. Mm. Alright, so yeah, we can try again now, and we can see our key have been disappear because it's being flushed every single 60 minutes or 60 seconds. My bad. And yeah, we can do request again, right? And so what we're gonna do now, it's basically we almost like finish, but we kind of like separate um our constants, limit constants and window constant into our properties folder, our property files, uh, because it's every single time if we want to change the limits, we don't want to redeploy the whole codes, right? We just want to change the environment variable. So that's what we're going to do, and then I will write the Docker file and then Docker compose to make to containerize our applications and also Redis, so it will run with just one single command. So let's go to our properties right here. What we want to add is we want to add Spring. No, we're gonna add. Let's say it's rate limits dot limits, right, equal to 5. Our rate limits dot, let's say, window seconds is 60, right? So let's save it, and now we want to create another file, another folder called properties, config, right? In our config, we want to create our rate limits property, redis.java. So we're gonna call our package for sure.com to our config and call our configurations, and we're gonna call configuration property. Our prefix that we have set is rate limits, right? Now, are there any error, bro? Like, okay, yeah. And so we have public class, it is rate limits, name of folder property, right? Um, then private integer limits, private integer Windows settings, and then public integer. We want to create the methods that we are getting the value from the environments. So limits, that's gonna return limits, right? Our public integer is our set limits. If we want to set our limits, like we want to change our limits or something like that, we can do it. But mostly we won't do it, so I'm not gonna do it. Get get Windows 7. Get Windows 7. Like that. We're gonna return our Windows seconds. And this is public integer void set Windows seconds. Okay, and this dot Windows second equal to Windows seconds. Windows seconds. Just like that. Are we missing anything? Cool. So now we want to change our rate limit service, because this is no longer hard code anymore, but we are getting the actual value from our environment, right? So let's say here I want to create um, rate limits property. Let's say private sake final. It's rate limit property. Okay, it's gonna be property. You should have suggest me that property might not have been initialized. What you mean by that? And by the way, we don't need this anymore. Right? Anything like that. And want that. And we want to initialize it. Properties, what's your properties, right? The blank final. What is that, bro? Are there any error? Am I missing anything? Property rate limits. Okay. And then properties. Allow request string of key, adding this long count if If not count, no. We are gonna get this instead. We're gonna change it a little bit. Expire gonna be our durations that of seconds instead because it is seconds, and property dot get Windows seconds, just like that. And we return if dit is smaller than property dot get limits, like that. Okay, do we have any error? See, oh, I forgot to pass this in, that's why it's keep returning the LSB reporting error. So this is rate limits, properties, property, just like that, and save. Now everything should work, still work just fine if I do curve command to our local host. Okay, it's still working. Cool. If let's see if we are keep spamming like this, right? So we can spam like 5 requests and then we're getting blocked. But let's say if I go to our property settings and changed it into just 2 instead, and we just want to wait for a little bit. See, so when our keys delete, which means that we will be able to start doing requests again. So let's wait for it. After this, we're gonna create a Docker Compose file and to set up our to link between our Redis and our applications, our backend, and then we'll be writing a Docker file to letting the Docker know like how it's creating the image file, right? So now it's empty. So save, make sure, and if I do like just 2 1 2 and is that, bro? 3. See, so it's getting blocked already by we just doing just 2, and it's already blocked us. So yeah, this you can see that this is way faster, and we can change anything basically just in our environments without redeploying codes or doing anything like complex. Trying to make our applications like being as much more like distributed codes, so it's easier to maintain and faster and stuff like that. So now we are going to create our Docker Compose file. So just name it Docker Compose.iml, just like that. And our versions want to be 2.8. Our services would be Redis, right? Image would be Redis. Container name Redis. Name it Loki. We can just name it Redis, but we can name it Redis limits instead. And Loki, we can name it Redis. and our port gonna be 60, 63, 79, 63, 79, and then this is our app. We want to build it from our root directory. Container name will be distributed rate limiter. Our port gonna be at 8080. Depends on this means that our app container will be start after our redis being started. Redis. Okay, let's save that. And okay, so now we can do like what are we gonna do next? Loki, we can start our compose. Let's do Docker. And yeah, I forgot that because we already we dockerize our application, so we need to change this into what we being changed. See? Oh, here. So our local the Redis is no longer local host, but Redis instead, right? So let's save that. And because the Redis is the Redis describing the port is host on the container, but let's connect to our local host. But now we containerize our application, so our host is now a container, but not a local host anymore. So that's why we are changing the local host into Redis. So now we can create a Docker file, right? That telling how can we build the image. So we can do word through its app, word directory is app. We are copying the snapshot. We have to build up 0.0.0.1/snapshot dot jar app.jar exposed to our port, which is 8080, and we want our commands entry point to be java to be -jar is will be app.jar, just like that, right? And just make sure everything is right. After that, we have to build our compose, right? We are and just make sure that we are having our JDK like link our jar to so the Java community has moved the Eclipse terming as the official open JDK build, so this is why we have to use this terminal 17-JDK. So now we can do this. and do docker equals up that dash build. Mm, must be a mapping. I, okay, I see. I think there is something wrong with our current Docker file. Mm, 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 mm. There's something wrong. Map image. Change name redis. Hmm. Service dot depend on must be a mapping. That's it's not any error. It's not. Oh, it's not properly aligned. My bad. Hey. Oh my god. Okay, let's do run our bit. Okay. Oh, we have to package our container, I guess. Let's do dot slash mvnw package. And let's do this. Okay. The container name Redis is already in use by this container. You have to remove or rename that container to be able to reuse the name. Okay, so let's see if we have any error here. Okay, delete that. Let's remove that. Um, Email is being used by running container. Oh, maybe we gotta stop this and run that again. Okay, and then this is pretty weird because what you mean by being used by a container? Oh yeah, this is using. So let's stop it and let's delete that. Um, okay, now let's do it again and it should work. Alright, cool. I think it's worked. Alright, we can do a curl command and localhost host 8080 slash help. Alright, you can see that it's working fine. So, yeah, it's worked. What we want to add now is maybe I want to add, like, displaying um the request remain in the header. So yeah, we can do that. So set this for now. Let's do them. Let's do them. Let's do them. So we will want to create a file, right? So we can add something like here in our service. Let's say units remain dot java. So we can add like package so to include that class rates limits remain private final boolean allow private for public rates limits remain initialized without boolean allow and won't remain this dot allow equal to allow and is allowed return allow. Get remaining return remaining just like that. And in our rate service we want to update just a little bit. Instead of public class rate limits check and then redis key, let's implement it down here. We are wait right, we are 7 key and then we have string. Redis key is our redis template dot arbitrary value dot redis key is our rate limits plus key and let's import it com.redis service dot wait, rate limits remain. Wait, it's not be so a type. Beat that. So this would be counts. If count is not null, and the count is 1, we just do the same that we are set the expirations for our key pair value. So spike, and that is versions dot segment dot property dot get Windows second, and then now here so long remaining would be our math dot maximum between 0 and our logic, which is property dot get limits, and subtract it with our count if it can be exist or not, right? We don't want to mess with it because just like that, and so subtract for counts. If it's not null, this will be count, or else will be 0. Okay, then boolean would be allowed. Be counts equal to null, and count is smaller than or equal to properties dot get limits, just like that, and we are returning return near rate limits remain allow remain dot like that, and I'm gonna hide this. Okay, so happy about this. This right. And then we're gonna change the future a little bit, right? Just a little bit. That override result gonna be the rate limits. So here we will have this. Just make sure we import that. Import service. We are importing our rate limit service remain, right? And here we're gonna have our rate limit remain. Remain gonna be rate limit service dot check. We are checking our clients, right? And so we're setting the header for our response here. Dot set header, right? And so it's gonna be a rate limit remaining, and it is string dot value of Oop. Property. Nope. Remain dot get remaining, right? Because we are getting the remaining request that we can do. And so this would be if not remain dot is allowed. It's basically raising the same error, so we can copy and paste here. And then if we're doing the same thing here, so let's delete this. Right, let's save that. And now we want to update our components. So how can we do that? So let's just close this. Just slot mvnw package once again, and just make sure it works. Right? We can literally do Docker compose up. That's build once again. Compose up. That's build. Right, so I'm pretty sure that it's worked. We can see now in our lazy Docker, we can see our two container running with just our redis and our applications backend. So we can try by doing some code to getting our header. We can do -I and then host URL 8080-host. So now you can see we have relate remaining is 4, rate remaining is 3, 2, right, 1, and 0, and it's gonna say too much request. Alright, so yeah, we got that. We done. Alright, so thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Speed late.